Hello, everybody. So in the past, I was working on a demo game with my engine here just to kind of see what is going to be entailed in making a more complex game. And it's given me a really good idea as to what I need to do to improve upon my engine. So today I'm going to spend some time going over my to-do list and adding some things that I want to add and hopefully going through and cleaning up some of the easier things that I don't think will take that long to clean up and get off this list here. So what I want to do is I wrote down some things that I wanted to add. One thing is instance rendering. So right now I'm running a bunch of cubes on this game at once, and each one is getting its own draw call. I'm submitting the stuff to the graphics card to be redrawn every time. And I don't need to do that. So if I'm drawing the same mesh multiple times, I can use instance rendering to optimize it basically and just draw all the meshes in one draw call. I basically set up everything in a buffer ahead of time. Instance rendering. So I want to add that to my engine. I want to have terrain, so terrain generation and rendering, obviously. All right, so that way my game will have more than just, I don't know why I rebuilt that, but anyway. So I could put the surface of my game on more than just this, flat plank, if you will. It'd be nice to have some terrain with elevation. And then shadows, right? Because this is very boring. Simply adding shadows so you can tell where these cubes are in relation to the ground would go a long way to make this game look a lot less amateur. I mean, it looks very, very amateur and basic at the moment. But, so yeah, and eventually I'm going to get shadows. So I'm going to call that shadow mapping. I didn't add that already yet, right? Yeah, so I need that. So I already got the skybox. And then, yeah, at some point, this is more for the editor side of things, but like mouse picking, I need to be able to pick and drag objects around using the mouse. So I want to implement that at some point. So I think I'm going to reorganize this a little bit. It's just kind of a haphazard list of things. So I think I'm going to break it up into sections. See, how can I do this? I'm going to do things. I'm going to do like features. I'll say feature. Bug fix and optimization, I guess. So these will be things that will make the game better. These will be things that make the game work, and these will be things that make the game work better. Okay, so let's just start going through this. So canvas renderer is a feature. I'll probably start that today. And that GUI system goes hand in hand with that. To be honest, I could probably repurpose my text renderer as a canvas renderer and a GUI system. I might combine them later. I'm going to start it off separately, but then I might combine it to be one thing. So camera look at, that is a, I'm going to call that a feature. I'm going to put that at the top though. I think I'm going to take care of that next. Make text positioning scale with window. I'm going to call that a bug fix. And make function to set global sound volume. That's a feature. That'll be easy. I'll put that on the top of the list too. I might get that done as well. Writing to files. Yes, definitely a feature. I'll put that pretty high on the list. That needs to get done sooner than later. Skybox rendering. This is a low priority feature. Function timing. This is all going to be part of the optimization. Using mapping to constant buffer. Yeah, so that's optimization. Handle updating resolution on window size. That would be, I would consider that a bug fix. And then imports, that's a low level feature. Optimize input. If it has the word optimize, that obviously goes in optimization. Improve lighting. I'm going to put that as a low priority feature. Replace, that's going to be optimization. Animated meshes, a feature. I'll put this above skybox but below GUI. Looking to getting, yeah, that's going to be optimization. Instance rendering, we'll put that below, we'll put that above skybox as well. Shadow mapping, that could probably go below that. mouse picking, probably right after the GUI system. And this is all tentative, obviously. This is not going to be set in stone. Terrain generation and rendering. So that's going to go, I don't know, here-ish. Okay, so that looks a little bit better, a little bit more coherent. So today, what I think I want to do is, so that I've already actually done that before, but I had to reset it because I had a bug fix that or made me reset my code. But I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to make a function, create audio emitter, put this above all the audio stuff. And it'll just be called set master audio volume. And I think all it really needs to take is just the state for the new volume. And all that goes in there is this, a function call to that. Oops. Okay, so then what makes it a little bit more tricky, which it's not tricky at all. I just got to make sure I can pass it over to the game side of things, which will be here in my OS functions. So that is a void function. So void pointer set master audio volume, and it takes a float for the volume. And then I just need to make sure that I set that up before or as I initialize my game state. So here where I'm setting all the other OS functions. Set master audio volume. Okay. And I don't really have a way to test it right now because I'm not playing any sounds, but I'm going to assume that works. I tested it when I did this change before, so I'm going to just go ahead and cross that off the list and fix that later if it's not working right. But like I said, I think it is. Yeah, so then I want to do this camera look at function, which gives me the ability to pass in my camera, a position, and a target, and then it'll just automatically put the camera at that position looking at that target. And I think I can do that. I don't know if I might have to Google some stuff, but I'm going to try to do it off the top of my head. So I'm pretty much, it's going to be an alternative for this update camera view. This will just take whatever the position and the orientation of the camera is and calculate the matrix. With that, this is going to add a second step where it takes that position and target, calculates the new position and all the new vectors for the camera, and we'll also recalculate the matrix that way. Yeah, actually it's gonna be kind of the opposite of this, because this one's calculating the matrix and then setting up the camera's vectors using the elements of that matrix, but the look at's gonna do the opposite. It's gonna calculate the vectors and then use that to build the matrix, if that makes any sense. Probably not. So anyway, it's just going to be called look at. That's going to take in a camera. And then so what I need is a vector 3 for the position. That's where I want the camera to be. Vector 3 target. And that's what I want the camera to look at. And then I'm going to take in another vector 3 for the up vector, which is going to say like what way you want the camera to point upwards. Because you can have the camera in multiple positions, or the same position looking at the same target, but then you can also rotate around its forward vector. So I'm going to assume I most always want the camera to point upwards, so I'm going to put this in as the up vector, normalized up vector. So that way I don't have to set it if I don't want to, but I can if I do. Okay, so now, yeah, it's basically just the opposite of this. So first thing I need to do is calculate the camera's forward vector, because that's the easiest one to calculate. And that is equal to whatever the normal of the target vector minus the position vector. So that's the way I want the camera to point for the forward vector. So then if I take that vector and cross it with the up vector here, then that should give me the camera's right vector. And so that's going to be the normal of the camera forward vector. And then it is normalized here, but I don't know that it's always going to be normalized. So at least for now, I'm going to just normalize the up vector. So that should be the camera's right vector. So now I can use those two to calculate what the camera's up vector is. So if I say camera's up is now the normal of that camera. I think it's the camera's right in the forward vector. What am I doing wrong here? Oh yeah, I need to cross product this. Yeah, I also need to cross product that too. Okay, so that compiles. So I think those are the three vectors for the camera. They're all normalized. So then I can also update the camera's position. Equals position. Yeah, so then I could just start building the camera's view matrix. So let's see. So the camera's view M200. So it's really just this. Like if you pull this all apart to figure out each individual element of the matrix. So the position at 0, 0 is the camera's right x component of that vector. So this would be camera right dot x. And then so the next one, 0, 1, is here. So that's the camera's up dot x. And then, so yeah, then 0, 2 is the camera's forward, but it's actually the negative of the camera's forward vector because my whole world is actually offset by my camera. 0, 2 is camera, actually negative forward dot x. Okay, so then the last parameter is just 0. Well, it's not really the last. Okay, so then it kind of just repeats that pattern. Oops. All right, so this is the first row, second row. So then this is the y component of all of these vectors. So of course then this would be the z. And then so now I need to figure out the position of where my camera is going to be. And I can get that by looking at my translate matrix function. So it's the position here 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2. Which is the next thing I have to now calculate here. So 3, 0 is equal to something. And then so this one's always going to be 1. Oops. Okay, so now in theory I should be able to just put the position, the x, y, and z position from the position, but I don't think that quite works. I think it'll put the camera there, but I think the rotation will be off. It's not going to actually look at what I want it to look at. So I think I actually need to make it the dot product of, so that this is the x, so the x is the right, so this is going to be camera right by the position. And I think it's inverted. I think it's opposite, so I want the negative of that. And then so this is going to be the up vector because it's the y component. And then this is the forward, and I think that since I'm negating the forward here, I don't negate it here. It's like kind of opposite. All right, so like everything else I read, I have no idea if that's going to work or not. So let's test it. How do I test it? That's a good question. I think I can just do a lot of stuff here. So it's going to basically replace this. So I'm going to actually comment all of this out for now and just call the render game function after this. And that shouldn't really change anything. I should just see the game right away. Yeah, nothing works. Okay. So now if I change this to not be update camera view and I just say look at, I can then also say that I want to pass in the address of the camera, and then I want to put it at, let's just say, let's put it at 555. Let's have it look at the origin, and let's leave the up alone. So does it work? Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Let me do something a little bit more extreme. So if I say this is like at 20 in the X, 40 in the Y, and 50 in the Z. So it should be way far to the right, way up above, way far behind, but you should still be looking directly at the blue cube. Yeah, I think that works. Let me try the opposite side now. Yeah, so if I put -50 here, it should jump all the way to the other side. Yeah, and then the green cube's on the opposite side now. Yeah, I think it's working. I will consider that a success. So yeah, that'll make it easier to have a camera that follows a player or some other object. I don't have to mess with the rotation directly. I can just let this take care of all of that. Oh, speaking of rotation, I think I need one more thing. Here, I need to actually update what the camera's orientation is, because here the orientation's set ahead of time, but because this is kind of doing the opposite process, I need to take this matrix and calculate what this quaternion is. That I actually don't know. I don't remember how to do that at all. Let me look it up. Let me look up here, matrix to quaternion. Oh, always knowing what I want. I want something kind of official looking. I don't want to get it off of like a forum like this. Yeah, I don't want to get it from there. I don't care if you can do it. I want to do it. Equation the above two points. I don't know if that's. Thought I would recognize it if I saw it, but I very well might have been it, and I just didn't notice. Eh. I feel like it should be a lot easier to find than this. Yeah, it's something like this. In fact, I think that is the formula, but I'm not that familiar with it to know for sure if that's what it is. What's that? Math is fun. That site seemed to be useful. Math is fun. Matrix to quaternion. Because I think this is the site I used to find out how to write quaternions in the first place. Yeah, was it this one? Maybe it wasn't this one. Nah, I think I used this for cross product or something. Yeah, never mind. It's not looking familiar anymore. Oh, this is the site I was thinking of. With the, yeah, with the weird yellow. Okay. Quaternion. Oh, here we go. Matrix to quaternion. Okay, yeah. So that was the formula I was thinking of. And yeah, I think it's the same as what I saw earlier, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a math. Whoops. Why did I do that? Make a math function to convert a matrix into a quaternion. So where do I put it? That's the most tricky thing about anything. Is figuring out where anything goes. Where to put it, what to call it, is the hardest parts of programming. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here above all the matrix stuff. So static, it returns a quaternion, and it's gonna be called matrix 4 to quaternion, and it takes in a pointer to a matrix 4, call it mat, and then it's going to build up a quaternion and eventually return that. Okay, so the X, Y, Z, and W components are as follows. So I need QW. Okay, so I need to calculate QW first. Let me do that. Let me F32 QW is the square root of that divided by 2. So okay, so I believe that's all divided by 2, right? And so that's 1 plus m, or no, it's mat, geez, m 2, 0, 0, plus, now I can probably just copy this. Okay, so that's it. All right, so the square root of 1 plus the 3 main diagonals divided by 2. That's QW. So now QX, so I can just set this directly. Q.x is equal to, and I believe this is transposed. When I've used this site in the past, everything I used from it had to be transposed. So I'm going to just flip around these numbers here. So m at 1, 2 minus m at 2, 1. So mat m2 at 1, 2 minus mat m2 at 2, 1. And that is actually going to be divided by, actually, you know what, I probably should calculate this ahead of time. QWX4. All right, so that's Q.X and Y, Z, W. W is easy because that's just going to be QW. And then so for Y, it's 0, 2, 2, 0. which I need to transpose. So 2, 0, 0, 2, and then this is 1, 0, 0, 1, so 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, I have no idea if that's right or not. I'm gonna just go with it and then worry about the errors that happen when I realize much later that it's not working. But anyway, I can now say that the camera's orientation is equal to matrix 4 to quaternion while passing in the address to the camera's view matrix. Okay, so that shouldn't break anything. Should all still work. Yeah, that seems to work somewhat. All right, yeah, I'm gonna call that a success for the look at function there. Go ahead and delete that for now. I'll probably have to put it back when I realize it's broken, but it's okay. So what else do I want to do? I need to write to files. I don't feel like messing with that. I don't want to do any documentation stuff today if I can avoid it. So let me move this up the list here. Okay, I'm gonna start working on a canvas renderer. What I mean by canvas renderer is just like a 2D picture renderer. So just solid blocks, solid rectangles, or textures. So that'll be good for doing HUDs or you know, health bars, things like that. And it'll also be good to, it'll be the foundation for a GUI system, so, you know, so I can click buttons and put labels and stuff up. So as I was saying earlier, the canvas renderer is very, very similar to my text renderer. And so I really think I can just repurpose this, kind of like beef it up to handle other things besides just text. But that might not be that easy. So what I'm going to do for now, just for now, is make a whole nother renderer, but it's more or less going to work exactly the same. We can do this. There we go. So I'm going to work exactly the same as the text renderer, but it doesn't need this font, obviously. It has a default texture. Does that mean? I don't think that's being used. If I just delete it and recompile it, it should be fine. Yeah, everything's still working. So yeah, so I got this canvas renderer. Everything's the same except for it's got a texture instead of a font. So now I'm gonna try to initialize it. And so since it's very similar to my text renderer, I'm gonna copy this whole function and paste it here and modify it. Okay, so initialize canvas renderer, then everywhere I got text renderer, I need to replace with canvas renderer. Okay, I think that's all. Let me just do a quick compile. Not that that'll really tell me anything. Canvas render. Oh yeah, I actually need to make a canvas renderer. Let's put that here. Current font is not a member of canvas renderer. That would make sense. All right, so that compiles, but I also need to make a shader that's special for the canvas renderer. So let me go ahead, let me close this, leave all that open. I'll go ahead and close that for now. Let's open up the text shader and copy copy all of this, make a new one, paste it, and I'm going to call this canvas shader. And I don't think anything changes right now except for this doesn't need to be text color. Oh, but then I can't call that color. Let me call this quad color, because everything's going to be a quad. All right, I don't think that would really mess anything up. Yeah. Okay, so now I can actually try to initialize this thing. Initialize canvas renderer. Okay, so now this should still compile, but if I run it, all right, nothing completely breaks. That's good. Okay, so now that the renderer is presumably getting set up properly, I'm going to make a function that just, I'm going to call it render quad. And all it's going to do is take in a vector2 for a position and then a vector2 for the scale, and then it's just going to put a quad up on the screen at that position at that size. So I'm going to copy a lot of the stuff from my text render. Oh, you know what I should do before I actually try to test this is set up that default texture. Yeah, so here in the initialize canvas renderer, I need to make a float array. It's for, I don't need to specify the size. If I just put here 255, 255, 255, 255. So I'm just making a white texture 1 pixel by 1 pixel, and that's going to be the canvas renderer's default texture. So if you don't provide a texture, it'll just provide that 1 pixel by 1 pixel texture for you. So yeah, canvas renderer dot default texture is equal to create texture 2D. I need to pass in pix. It's 1 by 1 and 4 bytes per pixel. And errors. Could not convert all the argument types. Oh, it's not supposed to be F32. It's supposed to be S8 or U8. F, undeclared. Six 12. Oh yeah, so that's not that anymore. That's going to be the canvas renderer's default texture for now. There we go. All right, so once I set up all of the rendering stuff, then I want to do this mapping thing I'm doing. Get the polygon count. All this stuff here. Of course, that's going to be canvas renderer. Make sure, oh yeah, got to change all these too. All right, and once I map to the buffer, I'm going to write the vertices, the indices, and then I need to draw it. Actually, no, I need to update the sub-resources too. And then draw it. And I'm pretty sure I'm still doing this unmapping after drawing everything. I'm pretty sure I don't need to do that. I think I'm not supposed to do that at least. I don't know. I don't know how anything works. Wait, am I putting things in the wrong spot? No, I think it's good. All right, I'm gonna try like that for now. I don't know if that's the way to do it, but yeah, so now I gotta actually put positions here. So let's try to draw a box at like, I don't know, 100, 100. Texture coordinates are 0 and 1. That's 100. Let's make it, I don't know, 300. 0 and 0. And then now this is gonna be 300, 300, 1, 0, and then 300 back to 100. This is again 1, and this is back to 1 here. All right. So this, I don't think any of that needs to change, except for maybe put this immediately after that. All right. Let me just see if that compiles, and then we will call it to see if it runs. Yeah, okay, so now I can, after all of this, say render quad. I guess, yeah, these are irrelevant at the moment. And I don't see it at all. Yeah, again, I'm using that stupid text renderer. All right, how's that going? Still not there. Let me try unmapping these first before drawing. I don't know if that matters or not. What about here? Nothing. All right, let me see. Might also have to do with the order in which I'm doing things. Let me try putting this above here. No, that's my light. Oh yeah, you know what? I think it might be working. It's just that my color is not getting set to what it should be, or it's. Let me actually do this. This will make more sense here. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so let me just see if using the texture would make it show up. Nope. Oh, you know what? I think I'm also not binding something properly. Hold up. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Okay, yeah, I thought I was changing the wrong shader. But it seems to be fine. Let me move this to the back of the line, and then you. Oh, you know what? I bet you. I think I know. I think I know what's going on. Or do I? Oh, okay, yeah. So I never told it to use the canvas shader. Oops, that's not canvas. There we go. There's my boring white. square. That's all I wanted. Okay, so instead of this, I should have just done this from the get-go, but actually use the position and the scale. Okay, so now it should show up where I tell it to, which is right now nowhere. It's just 0 with no size. So yeah, it completely disappears. But if I go back here and say 100, 100, and I want it to be 400 by 200, then that should put it right where I thought. Not really 100 by 100, but whatever. We're gonna fix all that later. That's on my to-do list, right? Make text. Yeah, I'm gonna add here and canvas because it's gonna apply to that as well. Yeah, so when I do that, that works. So now the important thing is I gotta figure out like the layering, because if I render 2 quads here, well, actually, no. What I should do is figure out how to get the color to change, because the default texture. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make multiple render quad methods or functions. All right, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Alright, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a texture, have it take in a texture 2D for the texture, and then it's going to render. Actually, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set it equal to the canvas renderer's default texture, so you don't have to provide that if you don't want to. But then here is going to use texture dot texture. So that shouldn't change anything. Yeah, okay, so now if I want to provide a color, oops, I just broke it. There we go. So here where I'm updating the sub resource, I would need to update this is color equal to the color. Oh yeah, missing. Okay, so then this is obviously, not obviously maybe, but I'm gonna default this to be white as well. All right. So then I think what I'm gonna do is make another. I don't know if I want to do this though. Because here I'd have to provide a texture before I provide the color. Let me just do it this way for now, and then if I don't like it, I don't have to do it. So I'm gonna just delete all of this stuff here. So this version is only gonna take in a texture, but then it's also gonna provide the default texture, so if you don't want to. But then I don't know how it's gonna know. I don't even know if this is gonna be legal, but let me just try it. So I'm going to call the same function. I'm going to pass in the position and the scale, and then the texture is texture. Right, does that compile? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, because it doesn't know which one to call if I provide the same number of parameters. Okay, so I lied, I'm not doing this. So this one takes 4 no matter what. This one only takes 2. Wait, no, this one. Wait, so it's got to either take a texture or a color. That's gonna be my thing. You can't just make a white quad. You have to say it's gonna be white. That's how I decide I'm gonna do this. So this is going to. So this takes all of them. This one takes the texture, and then okay, see that? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so then this one will just take the color. I can just copy on this. Okay, so if you call this function, then you're going to be calling the other function while passing in the default texture and then the color. All right, I don't know. That was convoluted. It's got to be a smarter way to do this, but we're doing it the dumb way for now. Yeah, I broke it. That's what I want. Render quad. Let's see, how is that a problem? So I'm calling the function with just 2 vectors, 2 vector 2's. So its choices are okay, so I guess in this case I shouldn't do that. I should take in the texture no matter what. And then so now it's going to break because now I have to provide either a color or a texture. Okay, so that's what I wanted. So yeah, here now I have to say vector 4. Let's say I want a yellow one. That's actually not going to have any effect yet, I don't think. Yeah, okay, so it's still white because in my shader I'm just telling it to only render the texture. But I want to multiply that by the quad color. There you go. There you get your yellow quad. So if I wanted it half transparent, how does that work for you? It kind of does. If I move it up a little bit, or scale it up. All right, so I don't see anything behind it, and I think that's because I'm rendering it first. So if I render it after everything, whoops. Yeah, now I can see through it because it knows what color to put behind it. Speaking of, so if I want to do another quad on top of this one, let's say, whoops. So let's say I do this one at 125. 125. This is going to be a smaller one. It's going to be 200 by 200. And I make it a full-blown magenta. What happens here? I'm just curious how they do the layering or alpha blending or whatever. I'm not even seeing my second one. Why is that? So what if I don't render that one at all? Okay, there it is. So it looks like it's, what is it doing again? So it's drawing that one. What if I put this one first? Okay, so now I see it. I'm really confused though. So this is the purple one. Yeah, so I need to figure out some kind of depth layering. I need to basically be able to tell what number to put there, because everything's on the same layer, so it's really dependent on what order I render it in, which I think I kind of want anyway. But what I want to be able to do is, let's see, let me do this. Let me put the half transparent one first. Wait, I'm really confused. Anyway, I want to be able to put like a transparent one on top of a solid one and be able to see the solid one through the transparent one. And I don't know if the way I'm doing it is going to allow me that luxury. I think I need to specify the depth. Or at least that would definitely make it easier. So let me see. So that's in the vertex shader. Let me take another constant thing here. And you know, that's the stupid thing is if I make this just a float, then it's gonna take up well, I guess, and it's not really stupid, it's just the way they do it. And I think that's gonna break everything. Oh no, it's not. Oh yeah, because it's just 0. But then I need to change the constant shader here. I mean the constant thing. So this is what I'm saying. If I make this a float, or a float, then I believe it's going to completely crash because padding. Wait, what's going on? Okay, now it's working. And yeah, so now it can't create my vertex constants buffer. And that's because when even though I make this only 32 bits, a float size, it actually takes up 4 floats. So what is that? 30, whatever 32 times 4 is. So I actually, even though I'm only using 1 bit, I have to actually fill up that space with nothing. And I mean, eventually I'll probably end up using that space for something, you know, I'll find some kind of uniform. But yeah, like here I have all these padding variables that are just to make the HLSL compiler happy. Yeah, so if I had that blank vector 3, then it all lines up and everyone's happy. Kind of weird, but that's the way you gotta do it. So yeah, with that being done now, I can come up here to where I'm rendering the quad, and then every time I'm updating this, I want to update the other sub-resource as well, the vertex constant shader. Or vertex constant buffer, I should say. Oops, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. That should be vertex constants, and then that's vertex constants dot depth is equal to, I don't know, let's make it 0. I just want to see if this actually works. And then I think I actually have to change the way I'm initializing the renderer, or at least the buffer. Pix constant buffer. Yeah, here I think I should make a separate buffer variable. I was trying to clean this up before and it ended up kind of backfiring on me, so I'm going to go back to the way it was. I'll call this vert const data. Oh wait, no, hold on, that's not what I want. I wanted the descriptor. There we go. Okay, I don't think that should break anything. And it doesn't. Okay, so now, what was all that for again? Okay, so yeah, now it's going to take in a float for the depth. And I don't think I'm going to continue doing it this way, but that's the way I'm doing it for testing. And yeah, so now it's going to take in. So if I say this is, actually let's put it, I got to figure out what order it goes in. I think it goes 0 to 1. It might go 0 to -1. I'm not really sure. No overloaded function takes 3 arguments. It doesn't. Oh yeah, so I forgot I have to now pass in the depth. There we go, everything should still be fine. And then, so let me just goof around with this here. If I say this is 0, obviously it should be the way, oops. Should be fine the way it was. If I change it to 0.5 positive, then it disappears. If I put it -0.5, it's there. Okay, so it's from 0 to -1 inclusive? No. Exclusive. Okay, so 0 inclusive, 1 exclusive. So that means that when I'm setting my depth here, wait, hold on. That should also be depth. All right, so now when I'm calling the function and I'm setting the depth, I can say 0 and then -0.1. And so the yellow one should go behind the purple one. Which I think it was already doing that. Okay, so that worked. So if I put the yellow, wait, no, this is the yellow one. So yeah, the yellow one is now behind, no, in front of the purple one. So if I change the yellow one to be transparent and change this to be solid, what happens? Okay, so that's the result I was looking for. So I got the yellow one. Let me move the yellow one a little bit further to the right. Yeah, so the purple one shows up behind the yellow one, but you can tell that there's, the yellow one on top. Okay, so I think this is a good starting point for a canvas/GUI renderer. So I think the way I'm going to set it up is just, it's going to depend on the draw order. So the first thing that gets added to the canvas buffer is going to be the very back, and then everything that gets added on top of that's just going to get put on the next layer. Until I specifically need to specify at what layer that thing goes, because that's going to get complicated, I think. Because I feel like, unless I'm overthinking it, you have to sort every frame that you're rendering, which sounds complicated, but I don't know. But yeah, I think I made some great progress today. I finally got some engine work done, took care of some things on the to-do list, added more things to the to-do list, but all things that will ultimately make this a better experience for everyone. So I'm good with that. I'm going to go ahead and save it and then call it a day. So I'm going to say look at function and started GUI system. All right, it's all saved. I'm out of here. Thank you. See you next time.